Have you ever thought about starting a new life here in Mexico? It's a dream for many and a nightmare for others. I'm Rich and I moved to Mexico 10 years ago, and I want to share with you some of the lessons that I've learned along the way. So in this video, I want to share with you my 5 top tips for keeping safe here in Mexico. Stay tuned guys, it's coming up. Okay guys, my tip number 1. How do you keep safe here in Mexico? I would say tip number 1 would be to learn some Spanish and learn like the Mexican Spanish. Learn how they say things here in Mexico. Learn the what slang they use, all that kind of stuff. Can't speak today. So learn some Spanish, and you know, if you ever did find yourself in that difficult situation where it could be a frightening situation, you know, that Spanish that you know, even if it's just a little bit of Spanish, can help you get out of that situation quickly. If you have no idea of any Spanish, then you wouldn't know if you're in a threatening situation or not. I mean, you'd be completely in the blue because you wouldn't understand what's going on. So if you learn a bit of Spanish, you know, then you can really be confident in yourself, in your ability to say, you know, no, and get out of a difficult situation or a threatening situation and keep safe. Tip number 1, learn some Spanish, guys. So I had to pop out for a few minutes, guys, on an errand. So my tip number 2 is do not drive at night on the free carreteras. I tend not to drive at night because if something did happen, I'm kind of on my own on an empty road, and I haven't got a lot of support. Saying that, you know, you can, like, there's a lot of paying carreteras, paying motorways here in Mexico, and that's normally a bit safer traveling on them at night, but in general, if you can avoid it, it's best. If you do have to drive at night, which it does happen sometimes, try and don't drive, you know, try and have passengers in the car, and you know, sometimes, you know, have a bit of support in the car, so if anything does happen, and make sure that your vehicle is well serviced as well. So, you know, you may not have, you know, if it's well serviced, it's probably not going to break down. So that's my tip number 2, guys. Do not travel late at night when you're gracias. Somebody's trying to sell me some sweets. Don't be traveling late at night for your own safety. Tip number 2. We're going to come back to the house now. Tip number 3. I want to give you a little story about tip number 3, and it's about being flashy or not. You know, it's about having jewelry, showing jewelry, and, you know, and looking bling. And there was a friend of mine, his mum came to visit him here in Guadalajara, and they were just walking, kind of really nice touristic area of Guadalajara, and she was wearing a nice necklace, and a local came up on a bike. There was 2 locals, one was sat behind, and the one sat behind, the passenger on the bike, turns out and grabs the necklace from my friend's mother's throat and just pulls it off, and then just runs off, just goes off on the bike, and obviously she lost her necklace. So what this story is kind of to tell you, what it does tell you, is that if you are flashy, then you're going to get more attention, and you may get more you may get more people that want what you have. So don't be flashy with jewelry, guys. You know, keep the jewelry, you can be flashy, but keep it to the right moments. When you're walking down a high street here in Mexico, particularly, you know, we live in big cities like Guadalajara or Mexico City, Monterrey. Don't be flashy. You know, don't be showing off what you got. There's no need to show off what you've got. You know, go out, when you go out and do your tourist thing, go out without any bling, and you won't attract that much attention. So my tip number 3, guys, is don't be wearing any bling when you go out to the high street. My tip number 4, guys, is respect everyone you come across. And this includes people that clean your windscreens, people that look after your car when you go and park it to go in a restaurant. You know, this, respect every single person that you come by. And it doesn't matter what level of society they're at. It doesn't matter. I mean, there's always going to be wealthy people, there's always going to be poorer people, and there's always going to be people in the middle. My tip number 5, guys, is if you're out and about late at night here in Mexico and you've had a few drinks, it happens, you know, you've had a few too many margaritas, a few too many tequilas, coronas. We've all been there. Always get a taxi home from the bar. Don't think that you know where you're going and you can walk it. Get a taxi, get an Uber, and you should be absolutely fine. Because at the end of the day, you know, after you've had a few drinks, your senses aren't always there as they are when we're sober, right? So we've got to be careful. And even more so when you don't know the area you're in, you don't know the particularly in a city, you know, particularly in a city like Guadalajara, it's so vast, it's so big. You know, make sure you've got a taxi lined up to pick you up at the end of the night from the bar or the nightclub to your hotel. Make sure you remember your hotel and you take a card with you or something. But you know, these are little things, guys, but really they can keep you safe when you're visiting here in Mexico. There we have it, guys. Thank you again for watching, and if you haven't, please consider subscribing to this video if you found it useful in any way in the slightest. So thanks again for watching. Give me a thumbs up, guys. Hasta luego, amigos.